Has East versus West recently tried to convince you to go to Baku?
As far as the Baku, nobody's trying to convince me to pull in Baku. There's no event. There's no event in Baku. It's complete propaganda. If you want, I can walk you through the Baku scenario. Okay. But I assure you, to the best of my knowledge, there is no Baku event.
So is Elmar just lying when he's saying that Robert Baxter told him that only if Devon goes there, then there'll be an event at Baku? Is he lying? Straight
I
up?
have been told that he's lying
By who?
by Robert and by Dexter. They said it's an outright lie.
Okay, then why would he do that? What does he gain out of that?
Why?
Or is
Why do
or
you
is
think he would do it? Listen, let's use our brains for a second here.
maybe
Okay.
someone is telling him to do that?
Why would anyone want to destroy the league? Why would anybody want to damage the league and see that this is all damaging? All this stuff is damaging to the league. The stuff that guys like Camilla's doing, the stuff that's going on in Baku, all it does is take away from what is an amazing opportunity and potential that we have at the Shaw Classic. It's incredible. And there's being diversion of energy, diversion of focus, loss of athletes. And who is causing that? What is the root of that? Where does that come from? Does it come from someone who sold the company? Maybe.
Many people do believe that it may be Engin who is trying to tell the Baku
If
guy,
you
maybe trying to.
want, I will run you through the timeline. If you want. And you can ask me at any point for clarification.
So from what we got from the eastern side is that right before the previous East versus West event, a day before that, a couple of days before that, the Baku venue was confirmed. That's what they are telling us.
False.
So
False.
what's your version of truth on this?
Okay. My version of truth is that so Baku was confirmed months before Chicago. Months. Initially, it was for the 9th of August. It was confirmed. Baku. I knew I was pulling Vitaly in Baku on the 9th of August months ago. My God, I had it planned long ago. It got changed to the 2nd. We switched to the 2nd. Everything was good. No problem. Planning on the 2nd. I'm talking to Brian Shaw separately because he's got his event on the 15th. I'm thinking about having a left-handed match there. I'm thinking about coming as a guest, trying to work it in. And then get down. So I'm thinking it's Baku on the 2nd, as planned. I arrive in Chicago. I arrive in Chicago probably 3 or 4 days before the event. So probably I'm there on like Monday. Right away, I hear that Engin has not spoken to Robert in approximately 10 days and that he has quit. He is no longer with the organization. He was not pushed out. He was nothing like that. I don't speak to Engin. I don't talk to him. Okay. So whatever's going on with Engin, it's really got nothing to do with me. So about 4 days before, I was made aware that Engin had quit East versus West. I was also made aware at that time that the Baku venue had not corresponded with East versus West in months or weeks. And I've seen the messages, prompts from Robert, trying to establish connection, no response, ghosted. Okay. So what we try and do is we're like, okay, there's no venue. There's no venue. There were many venues that we were attempting to get, not Baku. There was an attempt to get a venue in Romania. There was a bunch of venue attempts that I wasn't even aware of, but I knew that people were scrambling to get a venue for the failed Baku event because Baku was not responding to Robert. Okay. Because all the connection to Baku was through Engin, to the best of my knowledge. What happened then is somebody probably leaked something that we were negotiating with Brian, and then it went well. Because right at that time, someone who was not employed by the company, we never do this, understand. We never announce the fight card before the thing is finished. He was not employed by the company. He released Baku. He released everything on Baku. Baku was used as a manipulation tool to damage East versus West promotions. The deal was made with Brian Shaw. The deal was made with Brian Shaw after Baku was given a firm deadline. They gave him an amount of time because, out of respect, they said, okay, listen, you have to get back to us. The deadline was not made. The deal was made with Brian Shaw. The deal was made with Brian Shaw. Baku never really was on. It never really was officially on, but the dreams of it were canceled. Okay. So from there, it was agreed that Baku was back on. Now, and right at this time, there were so many things happening. East versus West athletes were quitting, saying that they were quitting. There was a meeting that took place to address this, where I posted my speaking part after I was, accused of all sorts of things that just simply not true. Anyway, so that athlete meeting happened. From there, long negotiations, okay, that I'm not involved in between Engen, Robert, that I'm not privy to. But I know that there's been a flip-flopping around on Baku, and it's a lot of manipulation done by the East from my perspective, a lot of manipulation with venue, with expectations, with promises made by people who are not in the company, making decisions without consultation, with holding the league hostage, basically stopping athletes from competing. From my perspective, a whole bunch of dirty shit. And really, and then, I get brought into things. I'm accused of so much, and it's quite flattering. But basically, the bottom line is I'm going to compete at the Shaw Classic. I'm competing at the Shaw Classic. All the things about me changing the rules and everything, whatever. Look, I'm always trying to change the rules. Do I think that Vitaly and I should be at a 4-7? Absolutely. Should be. If he's going to cry about it and say, I'm not going to pull unless it's a 3-5, whatever. I'll pull him. You think I'm not going to pull him because it's a 3-5 or a 4-7? There's no rule change that's happening. All these accusations, complete garbage. Anyways, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of dirty stuff being played. A lot of athletes are being used as pawns, and they're accepting of the narrative because of their loyalty for Engen, which I understand. Like, I get it. I understand that Engen's done a lot of great things in the sport, but the bottom line is that he sold the company. He sold it, and now if you don't see that he's damaging it to some degree simply with his leadership, you should probably evaluate that decision just a little bit, and you should have a better look at it. Anybody who's destroying the sport, I hate to say it, but that's an enemy of the sport. Okay? Hate to say that. We don't damage the sport. We don't damage the sport at the highest level. We have golden opportunity, and all I hear is Eastern athletes whining and complaining and talking about quitting. You guys sound like a bunch of sissies, really. Get on board, get on the big team, come in for the big win. Let's sort this stuff out. Let's arm wrestle like we're supposed to. You should be so happy that Robert's in charge now. You should be so happy that you got Dexter. You should be thankful that the team is continuing to move forward. Understand that Engen can come back anytime he wants. So long, it's between Robert and Dexter and Engen. The way that my name's constantly brought into things is quite flattering, but you guys seriously need to give your heads a shake. I'm actually not that important. Okay. I'm a fighter, and I'm going to fight the best. Camille, you should smarten the fuck up and do the same. Stop always quitting every 2 seconds on social media. Just fight where you can fight at the highest level that you can. That's what a pro athlete strives to do. You don't strive to break apart leagues and say you're only going to pull here, pull there.
You said they ghosted Robert for a very long time. So the chat that was leaked by Elmer guy that showed that Robert gave him only 1 hour, 7 a.m. in the morning to speak. So you're saying there were conversations before that as well, which he didn't respond to?
100%.
So yeah, we cannot even really ask. I personally am not a big fan of people leaking these private chats and stuff. I think it's a terrible thing to do. So I'm not sure if we should ask Robert or Dexter to reveal the messages that were there before that.